Today at Solus Partners, we're very excited to have Gerard of 506 AI. Gerard, could you tell us a little bit about your story and how you came up with your company?
Thanks, Stephen. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be in your podcast. Yes, it's quite an interesting question because in the year 2019, 2020, as I founded 506 AI wasn't at the hype as it is right now. Especially in Europe, very often AI was not, most of the companies are not very similar about AI. Normally, they're thinking about machine learning, object recognition, and such thing. And in that time, I saw that a lot of issues are coming up for enterprises, which only can be solved with AI. I never thought that within the next 3 years we see things like ChatGPT, but for us it was quite sure all the issues, all the problems that normal companies are facing can be solved, or a lot of them can be solved through AI. So we started in 2020, one of the first Austrian companies in that area. And in the beginning, it was more or less analytics with machine learning. We tried to find out in large data sets what are the real interests from consumers and other ones. And afterwards, that was the reason that we started going deeper to AI.
It sounds like you guys have a very dynamic platform, especially when it comes to enterprise. Could you talk a little bit about how some customers are currently using the platform?
Yes, of course, because it's changed a lot in the last 5 years. As you know, we have this time frame before and after ChatGPT, like before and after Jesus Christ. That means before that area, it was more or less a very specialized area with very small niche use cases, not broad in the company. It's only very technical. And when OpenAI started with ChatGPT, the wave started. And the wave also started going around us, especially that people said in Europe, we have a lot of regulation. All of them are very useful and not everybody is really happy about it, but I'm not a politician. I can't change it. So you have to secure that, like GDPR, that's only one. We have more than 100 different digital regulations in Europe, and every company which we are working is completely aware of that and say we have to fulfill every compliance about data security. For them, it's very important that also their data do not go outside of Europe, of the European Union, and a lot of other stuff. And on the other hand, people in the beginning do not have a real clue about how to handle AI. Yes, of course, right now, more and more people can, let me say, chat with ChatGPT, Gemini, and maybe Copilot. But it's not the question about how can I solve small problem. It's always the question, how can I solve complex problem? And for complex problem, you need a complex, let me say, this is not possible that everybody do that on their own. So we have templates for tasks which companies can share through their people. You can work with company data very easily, and you do not have to buy a lot of stuff from large US companies in the licensing area. So make it secure, compliant with every regulation in Europe, make it easy for people who do not have a clue about AI and the usage, and work with your own data very easily with full control where your data are. These are the three main issues that we can solve for European companies.
It sounds very tailored to European enterprise.
Yes, of course.
How are current enterprise teams using it? Like what tasks or what workflows do they find a lot of success when using 506 AI?
It changed a little bit in the last, let me say, months, not years. We have a lot of enterprise customers in a German-speaking area, in Austria, Germany, Switzerland, and Italy. South Tyrol is also a German-speaking area in Italy. And in the beginning, it's coming up from one single department, like HR, like marketing, and it comes from business people. This changed completely in the last, let me say, half year, because companies have the problem that everybody is coming up. I have the next best AI stuff for my work, from marketing, HR, legal. So they have a wave of different tools. They are not compliant. You can't integrate them in your enterprise stack, and you can't solve user service for a lot of different tools. So right now, Chief Digital Officer, IT heads coming to us to say, okay, we take your platform as a basic for 75 to 80% of all use cases that we have. So they come up, implement it in their company to solve problems in marketing, in HR, in legal, in production, to have one single platform, fully control, no vendor login. It's very important for them, and can solve, let me say, 3/4 of every use case they have within their company. So more or less IT department with other ones, chief digital, chief sometimes security. These are the main people we are discussing right now implementing for different departments or software.
That's fascinating, and it's amazing that they can augment 75% of their work needs. That's, I mean, hats off to you guys. That sounds really dynamic and in depth, especially within regulatory environments.
Yes, of course. Most of them coming up with problems from regulation because if you do not have enough people or you have people with not the experience that you need from them and or you have deep regulations in your business, these are the three main topics why they use AI because they have problem to solve every process based on deep regulations, which is extremely boring for people. And not everyone want to work with regulations.
Right. I haven't met very many people that love it, so I think it's great that you guys are out
Really?
there.
Okay.
How are teams, like enterprise teams, coming across you guys? How do they learn about 506 AI?
It's different. In the beginning, it was quite hard because we are new, you are a startup. I think we have sometimes cycles of more than 8 to 12 months because when you read in the newspaper or in any online channel, this is the next big shit for coding like windsurf. And then that's all pretty cool stuff. No question, no question about that. But these are consumer products. No enterprises buys 1,000 seats of Cursor. No enterprise buys, let me say, a Midjourney license for 2,000 people. The enterprise IT market is completely different. They need completely different stuff. For them, business reference selling is extremely important. And in the beginning, it was quite hard. Right now, we are in 3 to 4 main areas. Everything from public, government, this area, everything from industrial, because we're in the middle of the heart in Europe of the industrial area. And the third one is everything about health and security. Everybody of them have deep regulations in their business. So references, I do a lot of keynotes. We have outbound marketings, but reference selling is the most important one because if you know you are on one of the best software competitor and they are happy, normally the company say, okay, let's just take a look at them because that sounds very interesting when our competitor is using them.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, and it's congratulations on the traction you guys are finding. That's no easy feat.
No, especially in the beginning. In the beginning, it's brutal because when I ask customers, especially in some areas, how often they are contacted from the outside world with AI-based services, they say day by day, every day, somebody is coming and say, I have the next big shit for you with AI. So it's quite hard to find out in that brutal area of noise what is really valuable and what is enterprise ready. And so it's quite hard in the beginning, but afterwards, right now, we have, I think, from 9 Austrian states. Right now, we have 4 of them on our customer list. So they are discussing between what are you using, what are the other ones using, and this is very helpful afterwards when you have these references.
Absolutely. It sounds like you guys are well qualified within the regions that you're already in. So I can only imagine it's going to grow from there. Could you talk a little bit about, I think the audience and myself will be fascinated to hear your perspective on where European enterprise AI is going to go over the next, call it 12 to 18 months. What are you guys seeing when it comes to that?
Yes, this is, thank you very much for that question, because this is the real brutal and hard question. Because you have on one hand the area of enterprises who have, let me say, a nice proactive chief digital officer who did a lot of POCs, proof of concept and demos in the past for the next trade show or for the board members or whatever. We see a lot of them. I see also that around 95% of this project never come to production.
Wow.
Because it's a completely different area when you discuss about, let me say, epic chains. Enterprise grade means 10 orders, 10 fulfillment. Agentic, right now, 10 orders, 4 time fulfillment with 80%, 2 time, 5 time never. This is not possible in a normal enterprise process area. And there's a lot of other things what enterprises need, like single sign-on, IP range detection, and all that stuff. It's not sexy, it's not AI, but it's day-to-day business there. And you see a very slow adaptation on a broad base. You see a very fast adaptation in marketing for this shit and this and this and that, but on the broad way not. So the best one of them have integrated organizational structure for AI. that they have let me say, a single focus team and a single focus head of it who knows processes in the company and can step fast, but with little steps. The best people that we know, the best companies, have started 1.5 years ago with very teeny steps, but they did it every month. And right now they are completely ahead of their competition. Because on that way, the very important enterprise question is the buy or build. In the last 12 months, when you speak with a head of IT, you say, oh, Mr. Kuhn, it's not necessary. We build this by our own. We go to Microsoft or whatever and get that service. These are the best customers from us right now, because 6 months later, we ask them, what's life? And they say, oh, it's really bad. We found out it was not easy. It's not running. We do not have the right people. We do not have the budget. And they said, okay, let's take it serious. You can even produce an operating system from your PC on your own when you have the people and the time. But normally you do not have people and time to build products within your IT. And this is a pure product development. And after the 6 or 7 months of failure, they are coming back to us. So if you learn that, to say, I start very fast, learn month by month, and on the way, I do the decision, buy or build, then it's the best and practical way. Because nobody knows exactly how to integrate it to your business process and so on. It's not necessary to build a car. It's better to learn driving. Learn driving fast, learn driving pretty good, but not trying to build a car every time. And this is one of the best things. I think the last 6 or 8 months, we saw a large momentum, especially with the situation around Europe, also in the US and other one. So there's a lot of new investments there, a lot of companies who now take it serious, not for POCs and demo, and they're starting to implement it strategical, organizational, and this is the most important thing. Please be aware, it's not a technical issue on the market. What is the next cool LLM? It's an organizational, integrational part that people learn to drive and not to build cars. And if you do that right, you're going ahead of your competition.
Well, it sounds like 506 AI is the premier partner when it comes to Autobahn driving for AI. It's very exciting to hear about. Kind of segueing off that a little bit, but obviously you have to have a very experienced team to be able to deliver that to enterprise. How are you guys able to socialize and create that team at 506?
We are not very huge. We are 25 people, but we have, sorry to say, but we have no junior in our team. And everybody is extremely experienced. That means it's also completely different. As you see, I'm not coming out from the master university study. I did enterprise IT the last 20 to 30 years. And in the past, a lot of people was a lot of progress. This is ending. It's more or less a lot of experienced people. It's okay, but you do not need a lot of people anymore. So it's better you have a small experienced team with a lot of AI tools, especially our own tool, but also other one. And it's a very, very good backed team. It's let me say, like in football, it's your football team. It makes no sense to have 5 football teams, push them together and gets the prize. It's better to have a really good team and everybody is educated by our own, because the problem is that all the stuff that we need and the experiences, you do not learn that on a university. You learn it by practicing. And practicing, we are the first ones in Austria. It's quite hard. It's coming up the next years that people will know more about that. But right now, it's a very, very strong, high-performance team. And we can solve and scale without hiring a lot of people, because we are have extremely automated processes within our company. And our most important issue is always customer service, personnel from our people to our customers.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think you've got the right focus on bringing experienced members to your team. So I think that only adds to your advantage. For the founders that are listening and watching this podcast, could you share a little bit of perspective around kind of the decision that they might be facing when maybe making an AI agent for enterprise or other kind of high touch clients? Obviously, those team members that are experienced aren't cheap. How do you balance kind of the decision making between bootstrapping your startup or raising capital to fund the budget? How does that work in your world?
I think that's for me 2 questions in one. On one hand, enterprise area, they want to build something. It's completely different. As I mentioned, start very fast, keep the balls low, starting with light platform from us, learn to drive, and afterwards decide if you buy your own car or not, or your parts of the car buyer. And this is important. For startup founders, I think there are other measures. On one hand, right now, because everybody knows it, the time for an ID, for a VC, for that you got a couple of millions is over. It will not come back in that area that we saw it in the last couple of years or before. So on one hand, try to bootstrap as long as possible and keep the balls low and try to find really lighthouse customers. I think that's not completely new, and you do not need me to tell your audience that. One message is extremely important. Every founder, first-time founder that I know, and I founded several companies, underestimate sales. Everybody goes in the direction, we build a real great product, then we sit and wait until the customers come. That's bullshit. That's bullshit, because this one very rare situation like ChatGPT is completely on their own, but also like Cursor or other software, which making, I think, 50 million ARR within 6 months. That's the tip of the iceberg. Most of them, nobody cares about you. So sales, a really good sales team is harder to develop as a full product development team. That's my experience the last 10 years. It's extremely hard to find the best way, as I mentioned, to find your own target, to find the right customer, to explain it right, to really process seriously sales. Sales is not running from one event to the other and discussing with everybody about AI. That's not sales. Sales is like product development. It's a clear strategy, a clear focus, clear KPIs. And in the beginning, everybody think if you have a cool product, sales will go from alone. And it's bullshit. Think about sales in the same area as you think about your product development and your product features.
That makes a lot of sense. I really appreciate your experience perspective there. And a little bit earlier than yourself, but I think I would fundamentally underline what you just said there. I think that sales is often overlooked and is critical for early stage startups.
Because very often I see it also when you're taking, how's going? Okay, la la. What's the problem? Yes, we have now redefined our product. It's pretty fine. There's only the problem that we have too low sales. What the hell are you speaking? If you have no sales, there is no product. And it's not the question about sales is a little bit low. So it's a completely own function thing that you have to build up. It's not a little bit of sales. If you think so about sales, I know you are lost.
Well, when it comes to regions, where do you see 506 AI expanding in terms of sales over the next 12 to 18 months? Is Europe mostly focused, or is it going to be Europe, US, or global? How do you guys approach and think about those decisions?
Right now, I'm also very carefully when you conquer another country, or even worse, you conquer another continent. I know personally a lot of companies pulled with a lot of VC money. They said after, I think, Germany and a little bit in France and a little bit in Italy, now we go to US. I'm renting an office in New York City or LA or let me say another place. And after 1 year, they closed it because the US is a complete different market, vice versa. Also for US people, European is a complete we have right now, I think, more than 450 millions in the European Union, more than in the US, but we have not this common market that you have in the US. But on the enterprise level, the larger ones, they have, let me say, something in common about how they do business in Europe and so on. And we see a huge market here, especially we grow up with GDPR. We know exactly, we are privacy per design in that area. And we know exactly our core customers from public areas and other ones. So we do not bring only AI, we bring them really helpfulness processes in very easily. And so right now we see a huge possibility in South Italy a little bit. The most of the huge possibility is in Germany and Switzerland, and grow with international companies. Because right now we have some sort of a land and expand strategy. We start very low key and with a small team, then they are very, very happy and they transform us to the whole company. So we have a clear picture what is our, let me say, loveliest client in the future. And yes, of course, it's not the very small ones, because with the small ones, we can't, let me say, grow inside. So we have mid-size and larger size, and we know exactly, especially Switzerland, Germany, where they are. And then France and the Netherlands, which are very common to the market in which we are. So we have a clear structure for the next 12 to 18 months.
That sounds very focused and makes a lot of sense. With that land and expand strategy, how are customers finding true ROI that enables that expansion opportunity?
You must enable them to that, because in the beginning you can tell them a lot of bullshit, like if you do it with art, you have, let me say, 40% more productivity, or you spend less time and whatever. Nobody cares really, because they do not know exactly what it is. In the beginning, it's always important to bring the company to the right use cases, because the problem is, if you do not know how to drive a car, you are sitting in the trunk and thinking about, oh, that's not very comfortable here in the trunk. So you have to bring it to the right use cases. And when they started with the right use cases, we have one company, they started with a 5-person team, and right now they have 140 processes in their company automated with our platform. So you have to bring them in. The special situation there is that we have not the user-based price. We have a price like an engine, like an engine with such power, and how many users are working then, it's not very important. So if the engine is very hot running, then you know, okay, people have some sort of value. And then it's quite easy to measure it. In the beginning, you have to bring it to the right street. That's to learn how to integrate in processes, how they can spend less money, less people, less time on processes. And then the ROI comes from themselves. Normally, when you are in, I think, less than 3 months, you have more than 200%, right?
Well, I think that makes a lot of sense. And based on the usage, that you can then tailor that per each customer to really expand out their journey by using 506 in different ways. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you have to learn them how to use tools. That's the more important thing, not to sell them the tool alone. And that's one of the reasons, because we are not only selling the tool, we are also selling help to integrate it.
Well, I guess then kind of going to a higher level here, what have been kind of the highs and lows of the journey? I know you mentioned early on it was somewhat tough to get the initial marketing out, but kind of going beyond that, what were the highs and lows that you've seen up until this point?
Yeah, the highs are when the first customer said, okay, after our PUC, we want to roll out through the full company. That's really high, because for me as the CEO, for me is on one side customer happiness, point one, employee happiness, point two. I know point three is MR, monthly recurring revenue. And when you see a happy customer with a happy employee and a real high MR, I'm also very happy. Not in the beginning, but afterwards, it's sort of after the first POCs and demos, it's coming. What are the lows? The lows are on the other side. The technology is evolving extremely fast. So you have running every day to keep pace. And on the other hand, sometimes you think everybody knows all about AI, so you do not have to explain it, how to use it, how to work it, and all that stuff. And then you are in a meeting with people, or also with board members and a leadership committee or whatever, and they're coming up with questions that you think you are in the middle age, because I think I can do that the same with Google. And I do not know what they mean. They mean really when they have a chat transfer from an assistant to say it's the same like a Google search in the internet and so on. And so it's extremely low. And on the other hand, also very, let me say, load time is sometimes, maybe it's different in the US, the sales cycle. Because when you have like insurance company and such on, which we have a lot, you have a sales cycle from 6, 8, 12 months, 14 months, which is maybe normal in the enterprise market. Yes, of course, when you are at SAP, I think it's a normal sales cycle. But if you're a startup, which will grow fast and see what kind of benefit you bring, a sales cycle of 12 months is a little bit boring and depressing. And you have to learn how to get rid of long sales cycles, what are the best way to find the right customers, and also the full process cycle of sales. You have to learn that, but that's a low in the beginning. Saying, okay, everybody's happy. The CEO said, yes, of course, we do it. And you need 12 months after the CEO said yes, till you are in production.
That makes a lot of sense, and curious to here a little bit on how do you guys compress that sales cycle? Is it just better qualification up front, or are there things that you've learned along the way?
And there's a lot of small stuff. I think the pure goal is not our technology. The pure goal is that we know exactly what enterprises need. And the more important, the diamond is how you handle this. And handle this from the first sales contact to the consulting, to pre-sales, to sales, to closing the deal, to implement the first step, to bring the product in, to consult them for the first use cases, all that stuff. This is the pure goal, not the technology. Technology, maybe if you have, let me say, 20 people and you have, let me say, 6 to 8 months time and a little bit of money, you can also build some stuff of some sort of software that we have. But we know exactly how and when you have to service this customer. And we've learned a lot in the past, so we can do a lot of automation, especially also in the data security area, in the GDPR and all that stuff. We know exactly every single of 300 questions which are coming. We know exactly how to use and how to bring value to the IT department, not the marketing, not the CEO. And we know exactly what kind of questions are coming from people who start working. So we can our customers prepare extremely well and help really need less than half of the time that other ones need normally to implement AI services or AI products. And this is the main benefit that we learned over the past, and it's more important than every single technology stack that we use.
Well, it sounds like then you've got a very dynamic and adaptable team in that regard. What is it like managing a team of 25 or so people? Obviously, you're growing, things are changing every day. What is that like as a founder? Do you have any advice for other prospective founders in that regard?
Yes, you have two problems. On the one hand, you see a lot of bad things and sometimes depressing things in sale when people. And it's important to keep your organization updated, but not in the way that you see. Then you will demotivate everybody. So you have to motivate them. That's one part, which is in such an area that we are, is quite hard because when you see, let me say, a competitor in the US, not in the European market, gets 2.5 billions of money, and you are such a small company, normally you say, okay, we are get lost. We shut it down. It makes no sense. That's on one. And the second one is I and also my partners, we push our team extremely hard. Not on a personal level, but on a development level. Because as I mentioned, the salespeople, we do not like 12 months, we like 6 months. In the development area, in the last 12 months, we brought up 10 updates and 4 major releases. 10 updates and 4 major releases, the same stuff that SAP brought up in the last 5 years. So to push them in the development of sales, customer service, and products, and not pushing them too hard that they are depressed or resignate or get lost. This is one of the most important things, how to bring them in. Because you do not forget, in Europe, we do not have these phantom shares and this possibility to bring shares to the people and they work 20 hours. It's not allowed in Austria to work more than 12 hours a day. It's
Oh,
not
wow.
allowed and it's not possible also on a tax behavior to give equity to everybody that they can sell. So you have completely others, let me say, with your team. So it's really important how you take care about them, how you push them, but you also take care about how when it's too much and when you have, let me say, to bring it a little bit down again. And this is extremely important. What's the metal to the pedal? What's the important thing? And when you have to go a little bit back, for me, it's one of the most important things and the hardest one.
Well, it sounds like you guys have a really conscious and purpose-led culture within 506 as a team. So that's really encouraging to hear.
Yes, I think there was no possibility to survive without that. Because, yes, of course, we did some VC rounds. You have done more money, but it wouldn't help us a lot. And on the other hand, it's people are working here because of other people and cool stuff making. I think most or everybody from our people will earn a ton more of money when they go to an enterprise or to another company. Because when somebody of us do not have a job offer every week on LinkedIn, you are a loser. So that's normal, but they don't change, they don't switch, they stay here in our small company and they're fighting every day for a better AI product for the customer.
It's excellent. Seriously, hats off to you guys. That's really hard to pull off. You hear a lot of people that say the right things, but it's evident that it's working for you guys.
Yeah, but it's not an easy way. It sounds easy, but we have learned all that stuff the last 5 years. and it's not you are done right now. So it's will go the next couple of years in the same way, in the same speed, in the same toughness. So there is no time to rest. If you want to have a rest, go to an enterprise company, not to a startup or not in a technology company.
Absolutely. Well, I guess one final question is just where do you see the company as a whole going over the next, call it 2, 3 years? What's your major goal?
We see in the next 2 or 3 years, we will do a major step because right now we are in the no vendor locked companies. We are the market leader in Austria, even if we are slow, but in that area. We do not see a very large company in the European Union. There are some competitors in Germany or in France. Some of them are double sized, but not larger. And we think there will be a consolidation coming in that area, and we are prepared for that consolidation, not as a target.
The AI rapture, if you will.
Yeah, it will come because we have too much small companies which can't fulfill enterprise needs. On the other hand, they are quite hard for them to raise money. They are not cash flow positive as we are. So they have the pressure to survive with external money. So I think the next 2 or 3 years, not in the enterprise, not in the customer area, like
Right.
we are discussing the customer ChatGPT and that's all. But in the enterprise area, I think there's a consolidation coming.
Think we're reading the same tea leaves. I would totally agree with you. Well, Gerard, this has been fascinating on 506. For potential customers or people that have been listening or watching the podcast, what's the best way for them to reach your team to learn more or get in touch with you guys?
It's quite easy. On one hand, 506.ai demo contact is the button in the right upper corner. It's quite easy to find. Then you have a calendar. In this calendar, me and my colleagues, you find every possibility to find the best way, even if you are in another time zone as you are. And on the other hand, also some CEOs and other levels like to prefer a personal contact you find on LinkedIn. When you write a direct message on LinkedIn, you reach me in personal. If you have, let me say, behind the scenes a question or such thing without a public process, also possibly. So DM me on LinkedIn or go to the demo and contact calendar area on 5.
Fantastic. Well, Gerard, I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for having me. It was really a pleasure to discuss this here.
Yeah, this has been a great episode. We really appreciate your perspective, and I think the potential founders and AI enthusiasts will find a lot of value in this. So thank you.